Hello there, folks. It's Nerdy John here with another episode of the Nerdy Podcast. And today I have a very special guest with me. He's a music producer, he's done several EPs, he is Mr.Chase, and he's actually done the music for my opening. Introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Mr.Chase. Like he mentioned, I am a music producer, musician. I have been turning sounds into songs for, I would say, 15 years. And I am very, very happy to be here. And fun fact, this is my first artist interview / podcast. So this is really, really special for me as well.
Sweet. And first thing I want to say is thank you for coming on. And second, what's your creative process for getting the sounds you want for your music?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really, really glad to be a part of this. So that's a really interesting thing. I try not to overthink it. So my process I feel like it's changed over the years, as has my sound changed over the years. The biggest thing that really helps me, the main question I ask myself is, how can I make my last song better? What can I do to kind of really stand out musically from the last thing that I did?
Mm-hmm.
Everything to me, every song I make is an experiment. And what I mean by that is I try not to copy. I try not to repeat myself as much as possible. And I know sometimes it might be a little harder to do, but I just feel like I don't try to use the same drums all the time. I try not to use the same sample pack all the time. I try to find things that just kind of spark some creativity, whether it be a random groove that I'm hearing, or it could be a chord progression that I just thought of, or I could be just browsing my infinite amount of samples and then something just kind of pops up like, oh, this is clicking. Like, I try not to force it. I try to just let it naturally come to me. So it really just, that's kind of really where the process is just like, this is, if it clicks, if it gravitates, if it grabs my attention, I'm just like, oh, this could work. Then I kind of just start working from there and just kind of starting to throw ideas at the song, and whatever sticks stays. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But I've learned to just kind of let the music almost kind of form itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like let's compare your two EPs. Like your recent one, Garden of Eden, sounds sounds really different from your Breeze EP, but they're both extremely well produced.
Thank you. So Garden of Eden, that one, which one do I go for? Let's just go with Garden of Eden first, since that's the newest one. That one, I really wanted to create, I didn't want to just create beats. And what I mean by that is there is somewhat of a musical difference between like a beat and a song. I always want my instruments to kind of sing for themselves, kind of have their own voice.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of little thing about me, another thing about my process is I've never really had too many people around me that like I could work with artist wise. Like I have producer friends now, but like when I started, I didn't really have anybody that was musical. And so what that drew a desire to make music that didn't need a singer, because I was kind of a shy person. I didn't want to ask, a random person like, hey, can you sing on this song? Or, hey, can you rap on this song? It was more just like, let me find a way that I don't need them. Let me create music that you don't need vocals, in a sense.
Right.
And not saying that I would never want to work with a vocalist, because I've done that within the last few years, but that's just like, it's just easier for me to kind of create. So with Garden of Eden, that was really the case, especially like with like Cascades. Most of the songs, really, that was like, I want my musical creativity to kind of go to a different level from what it was with Breeze. So I use my voice in that song, in that EP. Excuse me. I use some more of my like guitar playing, some more live instruments on that one. And I've never done songs with like live vocals before Garden of Eden. That was really like an experiment, like I said. And with Breeze, that one was kind of more beat driven. Like the first song, it just sounds like, you could put like a rapper over it. And I'm trying to think what other songs in there. Summer Rain, that could be something you could put like someone over. Mm-hmm. I think you can have like some kind of artist to kind of complement them, but with Garden of Eden, I feel like you kind of don't need anybody else over them. They just they have their own voice, and that's really what was really inspiring me for that project, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like Rainbow Road one. My God, that like is so bombastic and filled with energy. Like all the connecting bits just go so well together.
Mm-hmm. Now, funny thing, that one I think is probably the most beat driven. Like that one, I can see someone actually like somewhat rapping over, but that one was kind of inspired by this rap group around like the East Coast back in like the early 2000s called the Diplomats. I'm originally from Long Island, New York, and the Diplomats were like huge around that time. And their production was somewhat similar to that, like taking a beautiful, very musical sample and just flipping it on its head and almost having like a grittiness to it. And that was kind of my influence. And then I wanted to get a little colorful. And so you can kind of hear like a little arpeggio in the beginning, like that little, that transition, the da 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 da, like all that. Mm-hmm. You can kind of hear a little arcadey arpeggio, the synth solo in there. That was just kind of like a colorful, almost neon kind of texture over that. So that one is one of my favorites just because when I made that, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is like, it was hitting so much more than I expected it to. But I love that one so much just because I usually like to start my songs with a little bit of an intro, kind of like you can hear the sample or hear like the chords to kind of get an idea of what I'm working with. And this one, it was like 0 to 100. Like you didn't even get a second to like process where this is going. It's just like hitting the ground running. And I really don't do that too much, but that one was, the reactions are typically like, whoa, I did not see that coming.
And Duality is another interesting track on the EP.
Mm-hmm. That one, like I say it all the time, that one was an experiment. I was kind of, at first half, it was, I don't want to say necessarily lo-fi-ish, because I feel like lo-fi would be a little bit grittier, a little bit more lower quality in a sense. Mm-hmm. But there was a little bit of like some, I guess we could say soul connected to that one, just with the pocket that I used and the chord progression. But that second half, I was like, what can I do with the second half? Because I mean, I could have just stuck with that first half and just probably played a different guitar line and maybe changed up the pocket a little bit. But I was like, let me just take it far left. And as a drummer, something I like to do a lot is change the groove in a song in the middle of it. This is something that just kind of changes how your whole body moves. Like you going from like a full time to a halftime pattern, it's like one of my favorite things to do because it's not something everyone is expecting. It's not, especially if you're just like a casual listener. So that was just like, let me completely go from a lo-fi-ish kind of thing to almost like a darker trap-ish halftime tempo. But this tempo's not changing. I didn't change the BPM or nothing. It's still the same. Like if I go from the metronome, still same. It's just half. And just that little change makes a huge difference when you're playing like drums and just changing that drum pocket. And that was, and then I went into like the the harmonies. I kind of fiddled around with singing on the harmonies on that one too. Yeah, that one was definitely, that was very, very surprising too. When I was putting it together, I was like, is this gonna work? Like, I always ask myself, like, before I start recording, I'm like, is this gonna work? Hopefully it does. Let's see what I'm like. Okay, let's just see where it goes.
Right, and like sort of relate to that. Like when I'm making a video, it's like I do something like slightly different with the format, and it's like, wait, will this work?
Yeah, and that's, I think, the great thing about being a creative is, just taking that risk, taking that jump out from something that you're used to and trying something just because. It's nice to kind of just, it's a nice refresher in, to me, it's a nice refresher to kind of just go outside of what you normally do, just to see if, hey, there might be some hope. Maybe I can do this again, in another area, like another video or another song, like that halftime split. Like, it worked with Duality, so it's like, okay, maybe I can do this for another few songs. Just kind of throwing it out there, like this is kind of part of a style of a sound that I can kind of create for myself.
Yeah. So I gotta ask, what was it like working with Ichka for his Branching Paths song?
Oh man, that was a surprise. Expect I didn't expect it to actually become a full thing. So that one came about kind of in the same way that Good Deed came about, where I heard a sound, I heard something he did, and I was just like, oh, I want to try something with this. And the format was going to be the same. Like, I'm going to try to make a little track out of this and put it on Instagram, just because, people at that time, they were drawing to me from Good Deed. So this was kind of like, what else can I do? And I also had something before that, like a reggaetonish track that I made over one of his other songs. I still want to make sure, I still want that one to go out full version. Hopefully that does soon. But this was like the third one that we did. And so I put it together, just a very rough idea. And then when I sent it to him, he was just like, he was so excited. He's like, he was like, let's make this a full version. I want this to be a full version. I was just like, oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. This is very, very outside of my comfort zone. Like, I like it's different because it's not hip hop. It's not like popish, like what I normally do, but it's still something that I would listen to. Like, if anybody else would have made that kind of song, I would eat that up, because I love that kind of stuff. So it was something that I'm used to, like, playing wise, but just not releasing under my own name. So it was nice to step outside of the hip hop pop realm and to do this. I don't even technically know what kind of genre this would be, but whatever this is, it is beautiful. And it just became this beautiful piece. Like, when he sent me the final version, I was just like, my jaw was to the ground. Like, I showed my wife, and I was like, he just did this. He just, like, listen to what he did. I'm like, I was freaking out, because every time he sent something else, I'm just like, in the back of my head, like, I'm actually working with Ichika on this. Like, this is a song I am doing with Ichika.
I know.
It was crazy.
And like, congrats to that dude for making it to 1 million subs. With his skill level, he definitely deserves it.
100%. 100%. That dude deserves it. I found him. Where did I find him from? Polyphia. Yeah, I think it was the song Death Note that I heard off their album. I was just like, hold on a second, who is this guy? Because his playing is so different from what you typically see from guitar players nowadays. Like, you kind of have like different genres. Like, you have like the funk guitarists, you have the shredders, you have, the prog guitarists, and he's kind of like a bit of everything. Like, he can shred with the best of them if he really tried, but he does a little bit more of like clean tone, very musical. Like he's great with rhythm, phrasing, all that stuff. Like he's a monster with the guitar. It's
Oh
awesome.
yeah. And like
So he definitely deserves it.
yeah, I found him through his "I Miss You" video, and then like that opened up to a completely different guitar world than I ever knew. Because
Yes.
like from where I'm from, like family, like most of them listen to like country music. So you know you get your guitar twang, and then like
Yep.
most they'll do is like listen to like you know heavy metal. So you got your chuggers, and then like pop punk, you got your power chords. But like
Yes.
like his style of guitar playing opened me up to covet. Well, I can never pronounce their name fully, but the band you just mentioned, like
Olivia.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like this new generation of guitar playing is just really awesome.
It is amazing. I've been a fan of guitar and rock and all that stuff for years. Guitar is actually my first instrument. I picked that up around the same time I actually started production. So like I was 13 years old. I picked up guitar and I started working on FL Studios roughly around the same time. Like I probably in the same month. And I grew up listening to like Dream Theater, Breaking Benjamin, Avenged Sevenfold, and then it transferred into like listening to like the Shredders, like Joe Satriani, Paul Gilbert, Yngwie Malmsteen. I think that's how you say his name properly. And then it transitioned into the more metalcore stuff, and then it got to like Gent and Periphery, and now we're kind of in a transition with like Polyphia doing like hip hop, kind of rockish stuff, and then you have like Chan and Mateus Asado. There's so many, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. But yeah, seeing where it's going, where it was, where it's at now, it makes me feel like I need to practice a lot.
I know,
a lot.
It's like, oh, I'm finally getting this chord. Like I'm finally getting this one chord down, and then you see a video of a guy just like his whole hand goes from the first fret to like the end, like it's seamless.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, I'm not good
yet. Yes, absolutely. It's extremely humbling, but it's also extremely inspiring. Like one of my favorite artists to listen to right now is Intervals. That band, well, it's kind of like a band, but it's a solo project. But like Intervals is one of my favorite artists to listen to, just because it's not overly rock, but it's so like their phrasing with their music is like beautiful. Like if I could solo and play like anyone, it's like the guitar. It would be the guitars from Intervals, because it's super almost like a synth like player. Like I don't know how else to describe it, but like it's not shredding, but they know how to phrase and put notes together and just really keep you interested, especially even with the production too.
Awesome. And like another thing too is like most music channels on YouTube go down this road. Do you ever see yourself becoming like a music memer? Because like a lot of like the more popular guys, like Steven Steve Terberry. I think, is that how you pronounce his name? Like him and Justin Dines. Like they've been leaning pretty big into the memes. Ichka's kind of done that too a bit. Do you see yourself doing more musical meme stuff in the future, or do you plan
just
on?
Just as a clarification, like what do you mean by like musical memes? Like the ones like with the silly titles, and it's like something like what exactly do you mean by that?
Like yeah, I guess like the more silly titles, and then like they'll do like like Steve, for example, who'll do like how to be like this band, and then like he'll be goofing around the entire time.
I don't think I would ever do that. Just I've never thought about doing that personally. Nothing against it, because I've seen some hilarious ones, but I just never thought of doing something like that from a production standpoint. But that wouldn't be a bad idea from a producer standpoint, because I've seen it like how to play like Polyphia, or how to write like Periphery kind of stuff like that. But it would be interesting to try, how to make beats like Illmind, or how to make a beat like illusion or something like that. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it at all, but right now I have not thought about that.
Mm. Another question. Have you ever heard of the Minecraft YouTuber Dream?
Man, I haven't been on Minecraft YouTube in so long. That name does not sound too familiar to me right now.
I'm wondering because he recently just released a song, and like me personally, I kind of don't like it. It's sort of like a generic like big YouTuber hip hop video. But
Okay.
I don't know, from like you as like an actual like music producer, I didn't know if you found the song interesting or not.
I will definitely check it out just to see, just out of curiosity now that you mention it.
And also, what if you could choose like one artist, who would that be? Would they be from hip hop? Would they be from rock?
To work with?
Yeah. Like your dream your dream collaborator.
It would have to be Zed. I think Zed would be my dream collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of my all-time favorite producers, one of my all-time favorite artists. I think his albums Clarity and True Colors are like, I don't listen to a lot of albums from front to back, but I'll listen to those two front to back any day. And what I really love about him is, and this is just from the music that I've heard, I don't know if I know there's others that are very musical in the EDM scene, but like his sound is his songs are more so like compositions for me, as opposed to, the stereotypical just like nice intro, build up, and then just heavy bass on a drop, and then just rinse and repeat. There's actually like some genuine chord progressions. There's some really beautiful sounds. Like there's something that really keeps me interested from beginning to end. And so if I would have to work with someone, it would be him, because I feel like he would be able to just put just whatever I could come up with, he could just take it to like level 20 or 30.
Awesome. And let's see, for a small time music producer, what's your tip for anyone wanting to break into it?
I would say there's a couple things to accept off rip. You're not going to be a master immediately. Mm-hmm. There is no quick success. Like overnight success, I feel like is not actually a real thing. Every artist that I've followed or heard about that was like an overnight thing, they worked on it for years. They just so happened to get that one thing that opened up, and then they took off after that. But that's not necessarily overnight success. Like you're not going to be a beast at this production stuff after a week. It's a little hard to start off with. And that's if you're really trying to like learn about production. And then what I mean by that is understanding the mixing aspect, the structure aspect, really developing your sound. So understand that it's going to take time. Don't listen to, the gatekeepers of, you got to use this software, you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way. No, you can do it however you want. I remember seeing on Twitter someone trying to argue about people getting samples off YouTube really aren't a part of the culture or something like that. I'm like, bro,
oh no,
who's going to a record store now? like it don't matter. There's so many things I found off of YouTube, and like it don't matter. Like from a general, like, and it doesn't matter what software you use too, but you gotta find one and study it. Take that time to study it and develop your sound. Also understand that you should never want to be like somebody musically. Like you can have an influence, but don't be a biter. Like don't try to completely replicate how someone produces.
Right, right.
I personally have no problem with someone saying Mr.Chase is an influence in my production. That is awesome. I would love to hear that. But you're never going to make music exactly like me, and that's okay. I tell people all the time, create your sound. You can grab influences from others, but remember, this is your sound, your music. I can't make music like you. You can't make music like me. So don't listen to other people like when they say you can't do it this way, that way. You have to use this software, that software. No, find what works for you and take that time and study it and work on it. And also understand that you're going to have some bad songs every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay. We all suck at some point. Like, we all have had a bad song. I've taken songs off of streaming services that I'm like, why did I make this? Why did I put this public? Like, it's not often, but I've done it. And it's okay. It's just part of the learning curve. That's just the development of your sound too. Stay patient, stay humble, and always experiment. You can create what the sound is, but just remember the sound always changes. Every few years it always changes. But what's important is what works for you. What's your sound? What's your style?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the main things that I could think of off top for someone that's just starting.
And one thing I want to ask you about is, do you think we're starting to see like people, because now that we have YouTube, TikTok, and Spotify to get music from, do you think we're starting to see the like what we would consider like the mainstream like music? Do you see we're starting to see a big pushback from that? Like, because like our artists like Itchkina or the other like math rock or like indie producers would probably never really get on big time labels, but now that we have these platforms that allow you to express yourself creatively and get people to find your stuff and realize, oh wait, this is actually like really cool stuff and I've never like would have thought of this. Do you think we're going like let's say in like the next 10 years, do you think the mainstream music media will try to adapt to the current environment, or do you think they're going to stick to what they've been doing?
Mainstream will always try to capture what's trendy, but the problem is, sometimes I feel like the problem is they're too late to it, or when they do it, then it's just like it's almost like you see something like a meme or online or something. Like imagine like you're on Twitter, you see like this joke or something that's going on, everyone's talking about it, it's all funny, it's a popular meme, and the second you see a major company use that meme in like a commercial, then it's like, all right, it's not cool anymore.
Oh god, or like
it's kind of
or like when the company is like super okay with the meme. Oh yeah, like we like that meme. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, it's basically like that. Like just they're late to the party almost all the time. And of course they're going to try to capture and follow up on what we're doing, but truth of the matter is I think most people can say it, like we don't need the mainstream musics like that anymore. Like, oh gosh, I might get in trouble from someone for saying it, but like you don't need those mainstream labels. Like, yes, they do provide some resource. They do have the connections that you probably won't have by yourself. But it's like, I've heard so many horror stories from artists. I've heard, just horrible things from those areas that it's like, and we've all heard them from other artists and stuff. Like, we don't need those guys anymore. Yeah, they might provide $1 million advance, but if our record doesn't make that money back, we got to pay them back that $1 million. And how are we going to do that if the money's not coming in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the blessing of being independent. You may not necessarily make $1 million by yourself, but you're not paying anybody back for that. And you're also not limited to what another person wants you to make. Some of these artists have come out and, talked about how these labels basically just take over creatively of everything that they want, what they want them to do. So that almost limits them from what they actually want to release. There's no holding any artist back if they're not signed. You can make literally whatever you want, and there's no filter. There's nothing keeping the fan from actually like enjoying the stuff. Like, is this making sense?
Yeah. You're making sense. The comedian Bill Blur, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about, it's better to be independent and sell 500 records than it is to be on a label and sell 5,000 records, because when you're independent, each one of those 500 sales are going to you rather than going to some guy who really didn't put any work into it,
Exactly. And there are some, and there are some artists that, yeah, they have the major sign and they're doing great, but like those are very few and far in between, like that really make that big those big numbers. But yeah, like what he said was perfect. Like I personally would be completely okay with, the amount that I'm making, or even a little bit more, and it's all directly coming to me rather than me sign a big label and then be forced to make a certain amount. And if the music doesn't provide that money, then I have to pay back that money, that like advance or whatever. Like I'd rather do the independent stuff because then I own it all. That's also something else. Like as an artist, if you're independent, you own all of your masters. You own the rights to your music. Whereas if you were to sign, there's a good chance that label, that company is going to have your rights to that music. So even if something were to happen, unless you get those rights back, they're still going to make money off of you. So you can have music out for 10, 15 years. And if that label still has those rights, you're still not seeing any money from that. Meanwhile, I can have Good Deed out 20 years from now, still providing checks for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's no connection. So, and I think most artists now are really seeing that, especially with social media. Like TikTok is really allowing artists to gain huge fan bases because all it takes is that one song that sparks a creative, one of the big TikTokers or someone to create a little trend. And then that trend becomes maybe 3 million videos with that song, and everyone wants to know where that song is from. And then boom, that's a whole bunch of fans that you just gained off of a song that you just put on TikTok and that one creator made a trend for.
Right.
Like
yeah.
social, you don't need social, like a label to promote yourself. You just need to do that work yourself. And I'm still kind of working on that myself. I'm still kind of trying to create like that sound that will gravitate like a fan base on TikTok, but having the connection with Ichika, that was a natural collaboration that gained a bunch of new fans. Like Good Deed is my most popular song that I've ever made. And I didn't do a thing except just flip a sample that I saw on Instagram. And it just so happened to pique the interest of the artist and the thousands of followers that listen to his music. Like I check that video's comments all the time, and it's just like this. There's always a huge smile on my face whenever I see people that's just like, this beat goes hard. Who is this guy? I need to find his music. Like little things like that. Like that is awesome.
Hey,
and I didn't have.
That's how I found you. Yeah.
Yeah. So like having that, like I remember that day that it came out, like my follower count just skyrocketed and my YouTube skyrocketed. I think I only had like 200 subscribers on YouTube that day, like the day that I had it up. And then once it got on YouTube, within like a couple months, it got to like 3,000, 2,000, 4,000 subscribers, and it just slowly growing. And I didn't have to sign any label for that. There's no bigger connection to that. That was purely just me putting the music out, shooting my shot, really, just making content. And that's a lot of people's stories, a lot of artist stories, just making something that sounds good and it just catching the right ears, opening the right doors, and it's just providing this nowadays. It's providing a lot more opportunities for a lot of artists, and I'm very hopeful that could be, there's gonna be more opportunities like that for me in the future too.
Right. And you can't even argue in a sense, oh, well, the big labels will provide you with like the ability to do concerts because you can hook up a stream on YouTube or Twitch and
Hmm.
there you go. That's your concert right there.
Yeah, like we're in a pandemic, so most of us are. I mean, unless you're in one of the countries that they can open to the concerts, you're not. No one's having like a concert out here now. And in a way, I almost kind of consider my streams somewhat like a concert, like session, they're like a studio session, but kind of a concert because I'm making the music live for everybody.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, nowadays with everything that happened this year, artists had to adjust, find ways to keep people interested, to find ways to grab new fans, and the live streams. It's helped so many people. Little concerts on live streaming your sessions and stuff like that. Like we have to adjust, and we didn't need other people for that. If you're a small artist and you have a genuine fan base, people come to you no matter what.
Yeah. So you want to hear something funny? So
Hmm.
with BlizzardCon, they did it virtually. So I mean, obviously, so they went to stream it on Twitch because that's the biggest platform for it.
Right.
Blizzard had Metallica perform, so they bought the license to have them do their performance.
Yeah.
Twitch, however, did not, and so when their part of the stream came up, Twitch put over this royalty free music, and it
Oh
wasn't
my gosh.
it wasn't even close to the genre. It was like a generic like hip hop beat. But it's really funny because like you got the bassist, he's like his head's rocking back and forth because like they're playing because apparently they're playing a really hard song and all you hear
Yeah.
is like
It's crazy just with what Twitch has been doing, like in DMCA and all that, with it comes to like music and stuff. But what's also ironic about that is I remember reading about that because I remember reading about that whole thing happening, and a few like years ago when Napster was still a thing, Metallica was like the band basically against like the file sharing and music and all that stuff because of piracy or copyright or whatever the case may be. So this was kind of like everything that's been happening with DMCA and all that. That was basically Metallica's doing like years ago. And so for this to happen to them on Twitch, it's like the ultimate like reverse card. Like this is what y'all created. Like now it's coming back to y'all.
Chef's kiss for sure. And it's really funny because they got big from cassette trading. So like they would copy their music on another cassette tape and they would pass it around, which was technically illegal.
Yeah. That's crazy. That is crazy. But just yeah, when I think about just how Twitch is with their music now, it really makes no sense because didn't like Herman Lee also get like in trouble from playing his own music on Twitch?
Yeah, yeah, and like that's a funny thing. Like a bunch of like these big artists have been trying to move to Twitch, and like all their stuff has been like DMCA'd.
It's like why? Like I don't get what that is supposed to prove. I mean, now it just makes Twitch look even sillier. So everyone's just gonna probably go to Facebook or YouTube for their live streams, but it's just like what could that possibly prove? That's especially nowadays when we don't have live music. We have artists that are trying to, showcase then create content and grab a fan base with their music, and they can't even play their own music.
Right. And like one frustrating thing is, all right, fine. You want to DMC someone for playing technically licensed music? Okay, go right ahead. But then you have other streamers who they find loopholes around this. You know the party game Just Dance, right?
Yeah.
They'll play the music from that game through, whatever they're using to stream, and it's perfectly fine. It doesn't get taken down whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah. And you don't even have to have the game for it. You can just pull up like Just Dance playlist and it will go. It's perfectly fine because it's technically the game.
That is weird. That is weird. I don't know why they started doing that now of all times, but it's just it's completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary, especially with there's no live music. You want to have people making, like, it's almost weird because like I feel like if I were to say do a breakdown of Wild Cherry or Good Deed or Branching Path or something, is that going to be a problem? Because like, am I gonna get suspended on Twitch for doing something like that, or like remixing a song for that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I remember one of your live streams. One of the other guys watching was like, "Hey, I did a fan video for Wild Cherry, and then for some reason, it's like some other random company tried to take it down."
Yeah, there's some. So there's a weird thing with Wild Cherry. So I'm connected to this company called Thematic, and basically what it is a site where YouTubers and content creators can use independent music for their content without the risk of copywriting, because it's darn near impossible to use real major popular artist work without their label basically trying to drain you of any money that they can get from the ad revenue and hitting you with like copyright claims all the time. So that's a great way for me to kind of gain more fans, and also allowing content creators to use my music. It works for both of us. And Wild Cherry is probably, if not the most popular song that I've made that's on that site. Like they've used it for like their one of their commercials. And so I've seen it used everywhere. But for a time, I was getting comments and emails all the time of people saying that they got copyright claims off that song. I'm like, how? I put it on there on purpose. I'm not gonna put the claim up. And I think it was Universal or something like that, somehow got a copyright onto it, which is I don't know how they did it. I'm still trying to figure that out. But yeah, it only did it for that song. Maybe it's because it's getting so popular. I really don't know what the reasoning is for that. Like I had to make a post on a comment on a copyright like playlist someone put on YouTube, because people were saying that they used Wild Cherry and they got copyrighted. And I was like, listen, I'm not the one sending these copyright claims. Just know it's not me. There's got to be a way to do it. Reach out to the company to get that whole thing situated, but it's not me doing this at all.
Yeah, and that's like, it looks bad for you because it makes because like from like people's first glance, it's like, oh, Mr.Chase is taking down my video because he doesn't like me playing his music.
Yeah, and I would never do that. The reason I put it up on that site in the first place is so people can use it, because I want to build my fan base. I want to give people music that they can work with in their content. Like I said, it works for both of us. So when I started getting those comments, I put it on the video. I mentioned it multiple times. Like, if you're downloading it improperly, you got to go through this. You got to go through this company. You got to go through Thematic and let them know what's going on. I don't know. I even tried emailing Universal about it too, but I haven't heard anything from them either. So I'm still kind of like trying to understand how that happened. But that was like an anomaly from all of the songs that I have on that site.
Yeah, copyright is a funny thing for YouTubers to deal with, all shapes and sizes. That's for sure. You can be the
Definitely.
biggest YouTuber, and if you don't have a good standing with YouTube, the company itself, like copyright strikes galore.
Man, I haven't had any major copyright strikes, thank God. But when I look at my videos, there is one I released a remix of a song that I did from one of my friend's songs. He asked me to do it. Like, it's all agreed. He's aware that I did it. He posted it, released it himself. I got a copyright claim on that on my channel.
Ah,
It's my remix, but I got a copyright claim. Explain that to me.
Oh, I can't remember the specific YouTuber, but okay, so he has like a main channel for his music, and then he has like a second channel that I think is meant for like more vlog type stuff. So on his vlog channel, he was playing one of his songs. That channel got a copyright claim from his main channel.
It's so complicated. Like the way that YouTube and just some of these companies, like with these copyrights, what are they trying to? That's like, it goes back to my question of before. Like, what are they trying to accomplish? What kind of message are they trying to send? Because it's confusing everybody. I don't know what they're trying to prove.
Right. I feel like it really discourages creativity in all aspects, not just music, but like if you do like stuff with like video games or movies, I feel like that it really discourages it too.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's because music, having a video with good music, it's obviously important. You make music, you make videos. It's a big thing. And to have companies basically saying you're not allowed to use this music, it's just like, so why do we even have this in the first place?
Right. And like before I really started using like lo-fi music and your stuff and each stuff, I was using like one of the it said on the description copyright free like generic heavy metal music, and I was using it for like a random gameplay video. And then like next thing I know, it's like, oh yeah, this video has been claimed, and I was like, wait, it said copyright free though.
That is crazy. That is great. Yeah, sometimes with Wild Cherry, I kind of had to even like explain to people, like, technically it's not, because I'm not signed, but it's under this database, like with this site, so there is somewhat kind of like a copyright because you have to use it through them to avoid having any issues. Like, it used to be a case of if someone just asked if they wanted to asked about a song, I could send it to them directly, no problem. But now that I'm going through Thematic and the music is going through that site, it's a little bit, you can't just ask me for the song. You have to go through a specific site and follow those procedures. And sometimes people don't know that, because if they're on like if it's on a video that says copyright free and they don't have the instructions of how to use it, then they're just kind of setting them up to get in trouble with Thematic.
Another thing too, I wanted to delve into it a little bit is, all right, so Kanye West, getting a divorce.
Yeah.
How do you feel about people like just off the bat saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get some great music from this"?
On one hand, it makes sense, because the first person I think of when you say something like that is Adele, and like her music, like Pain does provide some genuine music and genuine material. Like that, it's an unfortunate truth, but like Heartbreak, Pain, it can create some very, very good music. But at the same time, it is sad that us as a people are like, we hear something like this and our first thought isn't, man, that sucks. So hopefully, we're hoping for the best for them. Now we're thinking, oh, we got a summer banger on our hands now. Like, yeah. we got some fire coming up. Like, but obviously us as consumers, we're not in those rooms. We're not meeting these people like we don't know them personally, so we only know them by their music. So that's kind of the only thing we can look forward to in a sense. So I'm not like a fan of it. I would hate to be in that position and my divorce comes public and I see on Twitter, oh, this Mr.Chase album's going to be insane.
Oh yeah.
Like, it would suck. But at the same time, I kind of understand because yes, there are definitely some songs that it took some pain to create this. And we can all relate to that. And I think that's also something about it too. Like related, like we're all hurting in some way, shape, or form. So we hear a sad song or something that kind of connects to us. It's like, oh, this is good. You know, there's some connection to that. So I think that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Mm. Oh, one quick thing. What did you think of the Weeknd's halftime show?
I didn't watch it, first off, but I only saw clips, and from what I saw, it was insane. It like, congrats to him for even having that opportunity. Not every artist gets to do that.
Right.
You really have to be like someone special to have that kind of opportunity. But from what I've seen, it looked like an insane production. I should go in and just watch it just to see, but I have not seen it all for it.
I mean, comparatively to like the last couple we've been getting, I think it was a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
yeah, it looked memorable. It definitely looked like one of those, like, we're going to talk about those for a while. Like, there's a few that I remember off top. Like, I remember Justin and Janet's, but that one kind of more so because of what happened at the end.
Yeah.
I remember Michael Jackson, he had one. I believe Prince had one too. Bruno and Beyonce had one. Funny about that one, I think I found out on Twitter that Coldplay was technically the headliner, but they were like the most irrelevant group in that performance.
Right. I mean, like it doesn't even matter the genre when you're supposed to be the headliner and your backup is Beyonce. Like, it don't matter what you do, she is going to outshine you at every turn.
100%. And Bruno Mars too. Like, he is one of, in my opinion, one of the best entertainers of our generation. I won't say necessarily best artist, but his shows, not many people can beat that. Like, his band, the whole production is like, he's one of the best. So to have him and Beyonce at the same time, and they were basically the starters, and then you come in with Viva La Vida. Like, how do you, like, what?
Right.
But yeah, I think from what I've seen, like I said before, what I've seen with the Weeknd's one, because he has really, really good music. I've heard some of his album before, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. Also, how did he not get a Grammy nomination?
I know, right? Like, I'll be honest, I'm not really a big fan of The Weeknd, but this most recent album, man, is that a bop.
It was, yeah, he owned this past year with that album. Like, that was definitely one of the top just what moments when it comes to the Grammys. Like, how did he even not get a nomination, let alone a win?
And then Justin Bieber's like, how come I didn't win Best R&B Song?
You know what's funny? The funny thing about that. So one day I was on live and I accidentally remixed one of Justin's songs, and I think it was my buddy Caleb on the chat. He was like, "This is what Justin thought when he said he had the R&B album."
Yeah, I was there. Like, I was like, huh, this is the only Justin Bieber song I can stand.
Oh my goodness. But no hate to him. I am personally a fan of his. Like Purpose is one of my personal favorite albums, and Changes is a genuine good album too. But it was hilarious that what he said about that R&B. Like, bro, that was not an R&B album. If anything, Journals was an R&B album, not Changes. That was a pop album.
Definite like pop. Maybe you could argue it was like maybe a little bit of like trap, I guess, but like it definitely wasn't R&B.
definitely hip hop, trap, pop like sound, but R&B was nowhere near that.
Ah. And is it correct that you're working on a new project?
Yes. I do want to release either an EP or like a full album. I'm still kind of on the fence of which one I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to release more. Fun fact, Garden of Eden, I originally wanted to release that during the summer, but the songs just weren't coming together at the time that I wanted. Um, but once they did come, it was like, okay, I can do this. I can release maybe December. But I wanted to release like a summer album because Wild Cherry was like the summer song, and I kind of wanted to see if I can make something else that could be a summer song. So yeah, I definitely am working on another project. I have some ideas of what I want to do. I definitely want to maybe have like a couple of collaborations on it too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely working on a new project.
All right. I mean, like, just keep working on that grind, man. Like, like your workload has been impressive. Like, you got your standard work life. You know, you got a family. You're still able to produce these bangers.
I thank you. I'm trying. This. It's a balance. It's something I'm still working on now. The last few years, I feel like the term has, for lack of a better word, has risen a little bit. With Wild Cherry, with Good Deed and Branching Paths, and then the EPs that I released, I feel like there is starting to be more of a fan base growing. There's more eyes on me. Like there's the possibility of me really creating like that future is a little while than it was maybe 2 3 years. But I also don't want to get on it that I completely forget the outside. Like it's a little because I have life, and I don't want to completely drown myself in this. So they can all in another thing. Uh, it don't like that for me. But I don't want to just stop.
Right. I think
And,
you were breaking up a little for me a little bit there, so I'll just like do a summary. Basically, he's talking about you need to still pursue your dreams, but you can't let it consume you because if you let your hobby or your dream consume you, then you're gonna forget like the now or like just the people around you.
yes, very, very much so. And that's kind of why I made on my stream on Monday that I was like taking a little break per se, just because I was going. These last months have been personally just often been a little rough for me, and music was always my escape, but it also was something that I kind of used to run away from things, and so just it's good to just to address that and say, all right, I need to step back a little bit and kind of
Kind of take a break from it. Yeah. Because there's a certain point where you're not just like using it to comfort comfort yourself from the issue. Like you said, running away from the issue is a different problem entirely. And I think as long as like creators learn to balance that, I think uh people can be really productive. Are we back? We're back.
yeah, sorry about that. I had to switch to my phone because my Wi-Fi is down too.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. All right. All right. So I don't know how much usable audio we have now. So basically, what Mr. Chase was talking about was finding that good balance between like your own personal life and then your hobby or something you're just really passionate about.
Right. Um. Oh, hopefully this is as clear as possible. So yeah, I'm trying not to I try not to get too drowned into all of this, because this is not a full-time thing that I do. I do have a regular 9 to 5, and I do have a wife, and got to make sure I balance work time with my family, and music as well. But this is always still like a goal that I want to be able to not have to worry about, that 9 to 5 after a while, and be able to create a sustainable life financially with my gifts. But something that I know is sometimes you just got to take a step back, just kind of refresh and recollect yourself, because it can, I think it's because of social media, partially just because, the fear of missing out. You always hear people say, like, if you're not working, there's always someone that's working more than you, and it almost kind of makes you feel like you have to always go. But like, in reality, someone's always going to be a little bit better. Like, I don't think you're really missing much if you just take like a couple days or a month or so and just kind of step back, especially if you have, a fan base that cares. Like the other, like I released a song Monday, and one of the comments was something simply just along the lines of, like, they're patiently waiting for me to reach, 10,000 subscribers and then maybe more. And just that line right there just kind of really touched me, just like patiently waiting. Like that's kind of like that's a nice way to know that you have like people that care about your work more than you realize. And seeing the large numbers, seeing the flashy pictures and posts and all the great stuff that people like to show on social media to show off and kind of brag, like, I've got it all worked out. I'm hustling. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you're just kind of still trying to figure out what you're going to do for the next couple of days. I'm trying not to get stuck in comparing myself to other people. And this step back is kind of a way to kind of remind myself, like, I'm not them. I have a race. I have my own speed. I got to run it like that. There's people that are waiting, that care about my work, but they're not rushing me. I'm not in any rush. And for any creative as well, just understand, like, you really are not in a rush. I know some people will probably say that I'm wrong, that you have to put out stuff every day. You got to keep working. But like, no, sometimes you have to prioritize yourself, like your mental health, your just emotional health. Like, if you're genuinely not in a good place to create, take a couple days off.
Right.
Step back. It's okay. Like, it's completely okay. It's like, just do it. It will make you feel so much better. One thing I've learned is, don't, at least with me, with my music, if I push and force the music, it never comes out good. Never.
Mm-hmm.
And people can say this sounds good, but like, internally, I know I could do better. If I let the music create itself, and the music comes in naturally, that's when I'm at my best. That's why Garden of Eden sounds the way that it does, and not completely different, because it could have sounded completely different if I released it when I wanted to, if I were to try to force the songs out. But I took my time with it. I took my time with Breeze. I took my time with Calling Home, and they all sound the way that they do. And I want to continue, like, not to force it, and I encourage anyone else not to force it. If you have to take that time off, to take a little bit of a breather, to do something else, to kind of get your mind off of the stressors of social media. Turn off social media. Take a day away from your stuff. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Completely okay.
Yeah, like for me, like, I'm not making I don't think I make high end quality videos, but like let's say there's a YouTuber I watch. He's around 2K, but like the videos he produces are worthy of like 100K channel.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a pretty humble dude, and he doesn't really make that much off YouTube. But then, like, you see like a reaction type channel, and they make a video like, "Oh, we just bought our mansion," stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, I think it's really important for people to Don't focus on the numbers, just focus on look, at the end of the day, with like music, video, art, if it's something that you would genuinely enjoy, then release it. I don't people shouldn't release stuff because they think that other people like it, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. Don't just, and yeah, you just don't want to just do what everyone else is doing. You don't feel like you have to make like this because everyone else is doing, like whatever works for you works for you. Like something I can't remember if I heard it before or something, but like you do what you love, you create what you love, and eventually you'll find someone that likes it too. Like you'll eventually find that fan base. You'll eventually find those people that are going to want to see the next video or hear the next song. And it may not be something that everyone else is doing. Because remember, like in music, the popular sound, it changes every few years.
Yeah.
Like everyone was trying to make dubstep in 2014. Then it turned into tropical house. Then it turned into trap. Now it's like drill. It changes every few years. And there's nothing wrong with the sound changing. But if you're so like in desire, like if you're trying to chase that every single time, you're never going to really create what you like. You're just creating what everyone else is into. And it doesn't even mean that they're going to like what you're doing either. Like work with what you're good at. That's why I create the way I do, because like I say, every day is an experiment. Every song is different. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing all the time.
Yeah, like that's a really really good way of looking at things. I think everyone should have everyone should have the drive to create, but just don't let it consume you.
100%. 100%. It's okay to be human. It's okay to feel like you might need to step back a little bit. We're not going anywhere. You know, your fan base is not going anywhere. And I'm speaking to myself too, because sometimes I'm just like, I have to make something sometimes. Like, what if this song gets those extra 2,000 or 3,000? I'm like, it's okay. If I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it. It's like, it's okay.
Right, because like the reason why most creators like leave like whatever platform they're on is because they just completely get burnt out.
Mm-hmm. Burnout is a very, very real thing. And people do talk about it, but it's like I said, there's people out there that are just always saying, you got to keep grinding. You got to keep grinding. You got like every single day, you got to do something. Like I see people say, you got to post content every single day. It's like, but what if I don't want to? Like, what if I can't think of anything? Am I supposed to just force something out? Like, no, I'm not doing it. If I want to keep my phone off, I'm keeping my phone off. If I don't want to make something, I'm not making it. I know some people say you have to, but like, I'm personally not a fan of becoming addicted to creating every single day, posting every single day and all that stuff. Like, there's a human element of like just enjoying life. And if we're so focused on just like, creating every single day, doing something every single day, we're not really taking in like just life moments. You know, like just step back. It's okay. Like I'll keep saying it to everyone that always asks about it. Like, it's okay. If you're not feeling it, it's okay.
Yeah, and like I had friends who like been trying to do streams on Twitch, and it's really hard for people to break out on Twitch because you either, let's be honest, you either have to be like a super elite gamer or you have to be an attractive woman. And,
pretty much.
Yeah, and like they've let it consume them, and they forget the people around them.
Well, even just Twitch itself, like it's a friend of mine was asking on his socials about if he should go to Twitch for his streams because he hasn't really seemed like he's getting a lot of a much of an audience on Facebook. And I just told him like, yo, Twitch is oversaturated with streamers. there's like too many streamers. It's almost impossible. If you're just playing one game or something, unless you're really dedicated, it's oversaturated. Step into something that not everyone else is on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And also just be yourself, and yeah, don't be focused on the numbers. Like I said, there's no overnight success. These people that have the huge numbers, they've been doing whatever they've been doing for quite some time. You know, Ninja didn't become Ninja in 3 weeks. It took like years before he became who he is now. So it's like you see the big numbers, but you don't see what happens behind closed doors. You don't see the amount of work and the struggle that these people put into it. It takes time. And sometimes that time is going to be resting. Don't force it and burn yourself out and lose the desire to work on the thing that you wanted to do for so long just because you couldn't rest, you know?
Yeah, like Ninja was an OG streamer. He was streaming on Twitch when it was still called Justin.tv. So this was
Really?
this is like late 2000s, early 2010, like 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
So like this dude has been on the grind for a while, and you know, mad respect, like in like a business sense, mad respect to him because you know, he was playing that one game where it didn't look like it was going to get popular, and then it blew up.
Oh, yeah, wow. Yeah, I didn't even know he was on there for that long. But yeah, that's perfect example. That's growth. It took time. It took a lot of time, and I bet you he had moments where he was like, "Should I keep doing this?"
Mm-hmm.
He probably had those burnout moments. He probably had to like step back. I hear people say on streams all the time, like, "Don't do it so much, especially early, because you're gonna burn yourself out."
Right. I mean, like in the past couple years, even like PewDiePie, like he had to take like a month off, you know, just like to collect himself.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that should be a way. I think every creative should understand that it's okay to take some time off if you need to. I know the world is always changing. People are, you know, things go viral like that. There's always like that opportunity and that chance that you can go viral or make that one piece of content. But it's like at the same time, that one moment that you're thinking can be the big break can also be that switch that makes you start feeling like you should stop doing this. Like it could change so quick, and you got to find, and it goes back to the balance. You got to find how much is enough, and then how much is enough to work, and then how much is enough to rest.
Yeah, I can't agree more. So, folks, I think that's going to be it for now. Please make sure you check this guy out. His channel is going to be linked into the description. Check out his beats because they are amazing. Any last words, Mr. Chase?
Man, this was an awesome opportunity. Thank you again for having me here. Thank you for letting me just talk to you about all this. I'm humbled. I'm very, very happy to be doing this. I'm very thankful for this. Thank you guys again. Yeah, if you haven't checked out the music, like you said, I recommend you go ahead and do so. I stream on Sundays on YouTube as well as Twitch, but mostly you can subscribe to the YouTube. You'll see most of the content there. But I am taking a bit of a break this month, so I won't be streaming it up until April. But there are a bunch of pre-recorded streams you can check out if you haven't checked out the EPs. They're all on all major streaming services: Calling Home, Breeze, Garden of Eden. You can check out my collab with Ichika, Good Deed, and Branching Paths. And yeah, thank you guys again. Thank you for having me, and so glad to be a part.
All right.